Mwanto, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks very much. What an honor and a privilege to be right here and being unveiled by my board member, whom I've really looked up to because he's in chair of the technical committee. It's great to have a very good representation of the ecosystem, the innovation ecosystem in the room. We've got government representation, we've got academia, we've got private sector, we've got the startup movement, we've got a set of students as well. So I'll just go ahead and try to give you a sense of what is that we're trying to do. And before I do, I'm going to invite you to stand up. I'm going to run a small experiment. I invite you to stand up. And I have 3 questions after my short experiment. And I have 3 questions. Question number 1, who told you to stand up? Okay, so why did you stand up? Because I told you. Very good. Who told you to clap? Why did you clap? Because you saw me clapping. Why did you dance? In the first case, I gave an instruction. In the second case and the third case, I did not give instructions. You did something. Did you feel crazy dancing in the middle, with a nice suit, professor? You felt a bit crazy, right? But how come you went on? You had a nice feeling, and yourself? Everybody around you was doing it, and somehow you didn't feel uncomfortable. There are some people for sure, they never moved. And I want to find out why they didn't even shake, all right? Now, I also noticed Professor Mimi started dancing even before I started dancing. And if I want to create a movement, he's the person I was going to start with because it was natural. And towards the end of my presentation, I will explain to you what I'd like you to do as my first early adopters. We're creating a movement, and when you create a movement, what you do first is you identify people who do it because they want to do it. And they don't care what everybody else around them is going to do. And once you believe together and you believe that we're not crazy, we're going to have influence on other people. So here we go. We have a big idea about KeNIA innovation system. And when I think about this diagram, I see complexity, and I've been asked to take the steering wheel and try to move the country in that direction. In order to make progress and finally arrive at such a complex thing that is efficient and effective, we're going to have to start with the first step. And the first step is to connect 2 tubes. 2 tubes is all we need to do. And then we'll learn from there, and we're going to scale. Now, before I tell you exactly how we're thinking we're going to do it and how we're going to connect all the tubes and the dots, I want to invite 4 startups. And these 4 startups are an example of what KeNIA had started to do over the last few years and can demonstrate the first 2 tubes. I'd like to invite Edwin Mugende. I don't know if Edwin is here. Where you are over there, you can come closer. And I think there is an extra mic. And quickly highlight in 1 minute, what have you been doing? Come. I can't see the other mic. I think you're taking, can you stand it? Yes, there we go.
Good
Morning.
My name is Edwin Mugendi. I have a degree in computer science from KeNIA University 2010. If I have a question to maybe you have ever received a bill like a rent bill on paper, or maybe you have ever applied for leave on paper. Maybe you are employed and you want to go for leave, you have to fill a paper. So it becomes a bit tricky to track the paper trail. That is the reason why we started our innovation. We target SMEs. We as you all know, SMEs are the drivers of the economy. They are the engine that run the economy. So most of them struggle with paper-based processes such as sending a bill, an invoice, a leave application. So what we do, we target the more than 50,000 SMEs in the country, and since these processes are tedious, repetitive, take a lot of time, inefficient, it's hard to get insights from them. We develop online with the support from KeNIA and other partners. We've been able to develop online software solutions which are easy to use, they're affordable compared to the others in the market. They also you can access from any location, and also they are localized to the Kenyan market. So we have done this to automate business processes, property management processes, and also M-Pesa analytics. So far we have, since we started around 2015, the projects with the support so far from Acoustic, from Net Fund, we have been able to have over 130 paying customers. Last year revenue stood at 4.5 million. We have employed 6 staff members, 3 are full-time and 3 are part-time. And we also have 3 female and 3 male. So we are very keen on engaging partnerships. We are very keen on getting partnership and linkages, both to scale our technology across the country and beyond. Like now we are talking to a client in Uganda, we have one in South Sudan. So we are very keen on leveraging on how we can access markets outside and also scale our technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please a clap for. He is a representative of more than 100 teams that have been funded from Kenya. It's Muhammad Hussein. I know he's represented. Please come.
Thank you very much. So Ekodudu is basically an alternative protein producing company. So basically we produce insect protein for the animal feed sector, and the way we do it is we collect organic waste from food processing companies. In our case, we collect from a leading avocado crude oil company. We offtake their wastes, recycle it using the black soldier fly into two products. One is an organic fertilizer, which is used for crop nutrition, and the insect protein that we get from the insects are also used in the animal feed sector. We started one of our first actually I would say investor or supporters was KeNIA and also Kenyatta University, and from that was in 2016. From there we've been able to scale our operations. Right now we've also been able to recycle close to 6,000 tons of organic waste, and we are also been able to receive external financing to be able to scale our projects. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Please a clap for Ekodudu. I'd like to invite Upesi.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Vincent. I'm here with my CEO, Eric Muringo. I'm the CTO at a company called Upesi World Limited. So I want to talk to you about Upesi. Starting with what's the problem with emergency services in this part of the world. They're non-responsive, they're not as reliable, and if they're reliable, they're a bit expensive, and the majority can't afford that. What's the solution? The solution is that we bring all emergency services and the best providers around on a single unified platform, which we're calling Upesi. So our vision at Upesi is to create a safer world. We believe that everyone should have access to affordable, reliable emergency services. So what we've done, we've built a platform where we brought all the best emergency services, providers, and also we're tackling all the emergency services on a single unified platform. How have we done this? By building an application both on iOS and on Android that enables anyone to access any of the 4 services of emergency: wood rescue, fire, medical, security. And also you're able to subscribe to the providers that we've partnered with. So we've partnered with the best providers. These are GFIS, Securex, Union Group, Underflying Doctors, AA on this single platform where now people are able to access emergency response services. How do you access one, or how do you trigger an alert? By one of three ways. Click your power button 4 times, or go to the app, click any of the emergency buttons. Number 3, you speak to your phone without doing anything with your code word, and your phone will trigger an alert for you. Who does alert go to? Your friends and relatives, emergency providers. We've partnered with the police through a pilot that we did with them that ran for 6 months that tackled a lot of issues. So what's the impact right now? We have 6,000 users on the platform. 10% of the users are paying users. The business model is easy in terms of one, we have free users who you raise an alert to either the police or your friends, and then we have paying users who are getting personalized response from any of the emergency providers that you're working with. We've also recently partnered with UNICEF in order to be able to eliminate FGM or significantly reduce it in Africa by the year 2022. What we're looking for right now is we believe we're at a level where we want to attract Series A funding in order to enable us to scale even further and reach more lives and impact more lives. Also, we are looking to solidify stance in the market in terms of bringing in more users so that people can access more affordable, reliable emergency services. The platform is in the app stores, UPESY, and you join our dream of creating a safer world for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I recognize the presence of our chief guest, our CAS. So as we continue, I think he'll pick up exactly what we are trying to pass across. Finally, I'll call the last startup, Visviva. If you're here, I think you're represented by, yes, please speak your mic there.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning.
My name is John Kabuda. We started Visviva with my partner, Shalom Tuko. Visviva is a company that deals with precision engineering. We make customizable CNC machines. From what you can see, that's our first machine and our second machine. We already have a working machine. Why we started Visviva was because getting precision engineering tools is very expensive. For example, importing a CNC here is very costly. Yet, it's the tools we need to move to the next phase of our development. So we gathered the knowledge we had, combined both mechanical and electromechanical engineering, build our first version using recycled products. We presented it to KU and KeNIA. We won our first, the KeNIA, we won 800,000 to KeNIA. Using that money, we build the big machine. It's a 8x4, can be a full MDF, various material, cut, carve, precision cut. I'm talking precision cut. With that machine, you can make literally everything. It's the same machines that make engines and most of the tools we have. So far, we have managed to build 2 workshops. We have a running business at Bypass, where we've employed 6 employees full-time. We also brought sample products because the machine is a bit bulky to bring here. So I would urge every one of you to pass there and check out some of the products and make sure you order some.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Please, let's appreciate the 4. I'd like to make 4 observations about the 4 startups. They're just a representative of a pool of more than 100 startups that KeNIA has supported, and in the course of time, other partners have come on board. 2, they've all set a small table to exhibit a little bit of what they're doing. And please, after this, make a stop and let's engage with them. Thirdly, the reason I invited people like SC Ventures, that I can see gladly sitting in the room, is that government is taking the early risk. And once we validate the business models, I hope that partners like SC Ventures, among others that I'm going to talk about in a little while, will pick it up from there. So let's proceed. Kenya National Innovation Agency was set up to promote, nurture, develop the innovation ecosystem. If you think about what that means, it's a lot of words. It's going to be IP management, it's going to be partnership, it's going to be licensing, it's going to be funding, it's going to be events, it's going to be agreements, it's going to be standards, it's going to be coordination, and so on and so forth. But leave today here knowing that we're going to concentrate by and large on two things. First, commercialization of research. Second, the startup ecosystem. Those two will probably be at the heart of what we're going to do over the next several years. And I'm going to try and explain what are we going to do in that regard. Not to say that we will do everything else, but this will be our pillars. Now, on commercialization, this is our target. If you ask me, after I leave office after about 4 years or so, all factors constant, I'd like in the space of commercialization to sustainably support commercialization of 1,000 plus ideas or research products from our universities, from individuals, from research centers, from TVETs, from schools, and so on and so forth. When I say sustainably, is that by the time I leave office, I'd like us to have a stronger system that then enables us to scale those numbers going forward. That means the institutions would have stronger frameworks to do just the same. Second, on the startup ecosystem, this is my aspiration as KeNIA. This is what we would like to do over the coming X number of years, is to discover or identify and then transform a set of startups. And I've put some numbers here that we're going to work with. First one is 10,000 idea stage or early stage startups. Second is talk about 1,000 growth stage startups. I'll define what exactly we mean by that. And finally, 100 high impact startups. When I say 10,000 idea stage, I'm looking for guys who didn't believe they could do it. Now they can do it. Who didn't know they can do it. Now they can do it. Who probably started or they imagined and we enabled them. Where are they? We're going to find them. They're in the high schools. They're in the 50 plus universities. Where are they? They're in your organization. They're your employees, but probably they didn't know they could do it. And we need to catalyze that. All right? 10,000 is doable in 4 or 5 years. When I say growth stage, I mean the startups that I've just presented here. The next thing I would like to see is them scale. All right? And we need to find ways to partner with them. And I have articulated who am I going to work in that regard. Finally, when I say 100 high impact, who am I talking to? These days we're talking about Sandy. We're talking about M-Copa. All right? And the like. And these are potentially trigger foods has become very common. These are potentially scalable high impact startups. We can do 100 in 5 years. Sometimes it's because we don't know. Yesterday I was talking to Kamal from Craft Silicon and he talked a lot about Little, which he has helped establish and now he's a CEO. Potentially high impact. Where are they? We will find them, you and I. That's our second goal. First goal is around commercialization, 10,000, 1,000 plus, and then on the startup ecosystem. How are we going to do this? And I have some details below. Let's talk about commercialization support. Practically, what do we need to do? This is what KeNIA wants to do. Let's look at the problem first. KeNIA National Research Fund funds a lot of research. I looked at their data and found they funded over 500 research projects across the universities. And I know many, many other organizations that have funded. I have been in university myself. After the research, what happens regarding the invention disclosure? What percentage of the research gets really declared that we've discovered something? How much of that gets evaluated to assess the innovation value? All right, what is the commercial or scientific value? After that, what happens to the protection of intellectual property? And after that, do we build business cases or business models in order to develop business plans and commercial plans? And that will generate joint ventures, spin-offs, startups. The numbers drop significantly as you curve. And we need to fix that. KeNIA is going to champion fixing of that. Now, in a practical way, I have listed about 7 things that we're going to do in the context of commercialization. Number 1 is around incubation and innovation hubs. You see, I'd like to work with as many partners as possible to establish incubation and innovation hubs in schools. I start with schools. Never underestimate the power of an incubation hub in a school. A high school in Garissa. 2 is TVETs. Never underestimate the power or amount of research and innovation that is happening in the TVETs, universities and research centers. Let me tell you, it's not going to cost you anything, Mr. University. Don't worry. I built an innovation hub in University of Nairobi. It's now worth 300 million with partners, 0 funding from university. It's doable, it's achievable. And I'm looking for partners for that. It doesn't have to be aligned to a particular university. It can be in the ecosystem. It can be in a county government and so on and so forth. One, this is where private sector becomes comfortable partnering with universities. It's not in the Vice Chancellor's office. We do MOUs there, that's fine. But in these hubs, they become neutral places where creativity and energy is spurred and energized. Number two is competencies around innovation. You see, we are campaigning now for competence-based curriculum, wonderful. But I'd like us to ride on that to build innovation competencies. I want a high school student who is able to articulate a business model or value proposition very well. I want a high school student who can tell me what design thinking is or what is user-centered design. And I'd like to build capacities in faculty, in teachers, in students and learners, riding on what we're talking about, STEM and competence-based curriculum. I am looking forward to building a KeNIA commercialization academy, which helps to build more the TOT models and build innovation leaders. Number three is around technology transfer offices. You see, Kenyatta University, I think you've done very well. The technology transfer office kind of is up and running. And I'd like to see that at least in 4 years, we'll have probably 40% of our institutions having. I can understand when we may not be able to all have technology transfer offices, but at least we should be able to get to about 40%. Those who don't have, we're going to make efforts trying to establish them. Those who have, let's try to stabilize and enhance them. What I mean by technology transfer offices, this is where IP issues are addressed. This is where business models are designed. This is where partnerships are managed. I cannot do all the agreements from KeNIA, but they can be done in all universities with various partners. I am hoping that we're going to strengthen institutional IP frameworks, and this is really deep in my mind. You know, I worked in University of Nairobi for some time, but if I built a startup as a faculty member, was I going to get promoted? No. But do you know how hard it is to build it? If I publish 10 papers, will I get promoted? Now, no wonder I know some professors who come up with some inventions and they choose to keep them under the table until they retire. Why? The incentives. It's about incentives. Okay? So, the skills, the incentives, the tools. I'd like to ask this question. When I was a first-year student, I took a course on communication, on economics. Why didn't I take one on IP management? Because then probably my thought process would have shifted. And if the next generation is about commercializing intangible assets, then we have to make it in the bloodstream. It's going to be part and parcel of the bloodstream of a student. And I'll look to build some annual report as KeNIA to show how we are progressing in each of these. The policies, that is for KeNIA. We're going to think through working with partners on how we enhance the policies for national innovation exploitation. One other product that I want to build is what I'm going to call an innovation bridge. You see, if I come up with an innovation in a university, in a research center, how do I get it to market? I can understand when a faculty member doesn't have the methodology to think through about commercialization. But if I got into a marketplace of my innovation and I can create a profile and I put all the details about my innovation and what is it exactly that I am looking for, and I can get partners who also sign up and the system can match us, then in a little while I find an industrialist who is based in Kisumu trying to partner with a researcher in Taita Taveta just because of a digital platform. South Africa has done it very well and they've got something they call an innovation bridge. And I've started engaging the UK partners who are right in the room, and we're going to start working on a platform like this, right this in December. Commercialization Forum. One of the things I'm going to try and promote on an annual basis, and I'll articulate it a little later, is that I want us to assemble together from our universities, our researchers, our research centers, our legal practitioners, our industrialists, our financial institutions. We're going to gather together and start asking, what are we failing in? What are we succeeding in? What is the global trend? And so on and so forth. Let's learn from each other. Well, who is succeeding? Who is thriving? And why? And then that way, we can measure ourselves on an annual basis. What are we accomplishing? So this is what I'd like our institutions to think about. And I've got three representations. Masai Mara, you're here. University of Nairobi, you're here. Jomo Kenyatta, you're here, and I think one more, I'm not sure exactly who. Strathmore, of course, I can see represented here. I'd like to see well-defined institutional internal policy to support, encourage, and enable commercialization. If you don't do it, I know what's going to catch up. And I'll tell you one of them. University Funding Board. Because they're now going to be focused more on output. It's not the number of students. And this, you've got to do. We're happy, we will support whichever way we can, but every institution has to build contextualized ones. Research incentives, researcher incentives, capacity building, enhancement of our curricula, tools and templates that faculty and students are going to use, technology transfer offices, incubation hubs. That we have to do. We have to do. Let me go to the startup ecosystem. Now, there's a lot we can learn from other countries. Startup Chile, Ireland, Enterprise Ireland, Startup Nation Israel, Startup India. I know UK has done an amazing job, and so on and so forth. The templates are there, all right? And what we're going to try and do is to build the local version. Over the last few years, I think we've done an incredible job. There are more than 100 innovation hubs in the country, spread across the country, well, not very evenly. And yeah, some of them, of course, are still startups. They're trying to figure it out. Private sector is coming in. We've got a number of VCs in the ecosystem. Angel investor network is growing. I think that's an amazing thing. The issue now is coordination and amplification and stabilization. And what are we going to try and do? One, we have started building a database of startups. And I know a number of partners have been trying to do something like this. But KeNIA, which has a mandate, a national mandate by an act of parliament, is going to have to lead this effort. It's going to have to lead this effort working with as many partners as possible. That's number one. So the effort has begun. And we're now building this database where, as a startup, you can get as many partnerships as you can using that kind of a database. And I'm looking for partners to make that happen even more. Number two is that I want us to grow the investment pipeline. You see, we are very good at going to Syokimau and buy a piece of land. Investment, brilliant, nothing wrong with that. But I'd like us to also strengthen the narrative of investing in the high-risk startups that we have here, which have high potential. All I need to do is to learn how to do it well. And once I get it right, I will do it. Personally, I have invested in a few startups. I've taken the risk. Some of them have worked and some of them have flopped. But on average, I think I'm doing very well. So I'd like to see more funds going into startups. Now, innovation hubs sustainability, and I mentioned this a little bit. There's a lot of effort in setting up innovation hubs. Of course, people wake up one morning and they set up an innovation hub in Eldoret. Why they do it, what they're targeting, how they're aligned to the local ecosystem, local university, local development authorities, I am not sure. When I say stability and sustainability, I'm not just talking about money, their ability to make money or being funded, but it's how well they are aligned and they specialize and apply best practices. Then it's easy to scale. I'm hoping to see a stronger angel investor network. And I did mention this. I think there are a number of partners that are working in this area, and we'd like to find a way how to stabilize and strengthen and make a strong culture of angel investment in Kenya. And then on the policy environment, we've been working closely with Senator Sakaja. I hoped he would make it, but he had another engagement around the startup bill. Of course, there is a lot of improvement and a lot of enhancement that has to happen. That's a classic example. And we've got other policies that we continue to enhance under KeNIA. Finally, I want to tell you about a dream and an idea. And based on the dance that I introduced this morning, I hope you will believe me and we will go crazy together. This is exactly why I introduced the dance. All you need to do is to believe in what I'm telling you. And you don't think that I am crazy, therefore you're not crazy too. And when you're not crazy and it becomes deep in you, you're going to influence your neighbor and we will all become crazy. Sooner than later, the whole country is crazy. And this is what we're going to do. Over the last 4 or 5 years, I supported the establishment of Nairobi Innovation Week. And a number of us have participated. Great idea. Now it's time for KeNIA Innovation Week. Can you all say great? It's time for KeNIA Innovation Week. And something that has a national outlook. And what we're going to do is to transform the experiences we've had in Nairobi Innovation Week into KeNIA Innovation Week. The details of this, I honestly don't know. But I have some idea. The ideas I have is the Startup Kenya Summit. This is where I want to see in a room investors from all over the world and the startups that we have tried to build polished, ready to attract funding, both from local and international community. Second is that I'm looking at the Commercialization Summit. This is where, Madam from Jomo Kenyatta, you're going to be in the room and you shine. Based on the experiences you've had, what has worked, what has not worked. Let's get case studies from across the globe. Let's get practitioners, let's get inspired, let's build the skills we need, and we measure our progress on an annual basis. This will be the platform that will be able to tell you whether we're doing well as an institution, we're doing well as a country, and we're doing well as a continent. It's going to take 12 months to plan. We're not going to do something fancy, just wake up and do it. It's going to take us 12 months to plan. And I need partners and friends to make that happen. It's going to take partnerships. It's got to take collaboration. We set some goals and work together towards them. It's going to be about we. It's not KeNIA, it's not Tony, it's we. And everybody could have to play some role, influence someone else, and we create a crazy movement of dancers. The board has approved the establishment of a National Innovation Advisory Committee, which is going to help KeNIA around resource mobilization and partnerships. And they've also approved the establishment of a National Innovation Technical Committee, which is going to help us think through the details of that forum that I just described, among other things. I'm inviting you to join. We're looking for volunteers. We're looking for partners, corporates, individuals. Welcome, and thank you very much, because you are looking forward to be a group of crazy dancers.
I would wish that it moves to the next.
Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, good morning. My name is Josephine Dambuki from Konza Technopolis, representing our CEO, Engineer John Tanui, at this event. And first, allow me to pass his congratulatory remarks to the entire board of KeNIA and management and the team that is here on this occasion. I think 1 month ago, we had a good meeting with the CEO now, Dr. Tony, at Konza Technopolis. He made a visit and we had those conversations that have been very, very well articulated. And I think the main topic that we're talking about here is how can we step up our innovation return for this country. And I think today really is a good day to really reiterate and to really emphasize on the possibilities ahead. Of course, we know Kenya has been, is already recognized in terms of how much we are contributing, and our return on innovation is already higher than the investments we are putting in. And so we are asking ourselves, if we put together our efforts, then the return can only achieve a multiplier effect. At Konza Technopolis, as a government agency, we are mandated to build a smart city of international standards and an area of innovation. And as rightly said, we are Africa's Silicon Savannah. And we say we want to develop the Africa's smartest city. And this city is actually built upon two foundations. And the first pillar is infrastructure development, which is about setting up all of the infrastructure ready for the development of the city. But the heart of what Konza Technopolis is set out to do is really maximizing the output of innovation and how we're able to harness the knowledge economy for return for this country. And so we really see a lot of opportunities and possibilities when we talk about the startup ecosystem. Already we have started working with the ecosystem partners, and we acknowledge that they are quite extensive, about 70 private and 200 plus county innovation hubs. And so yes, our work is well cut out and we are really keen to support. You may know that of course at Konza we are also building the conference facility, and we rightly say that the National Innovation Week, the first edition, will be held at Konza. So all of the stakeholders, we have a venue, and also we will be contributing towards the volunteer team to support the planning for that activity. And lastly, the other thing we'd want to say is that as we contribute to the knowledge and to the innovation ecosystem, we are also looking at really continuing to propel and position our country in the global positioning. And in this regard, we are speaking as how can we become one of the top 50 innovative countries globally. Currently, we are oscillating between 70s and 80s, but I think we have a possibility, and these initiatives that we are undertaking will be definitely a good step towards that direction. And we say at Konza, we are welcoming, we are supportive, we will be folding our hands to put in the work, and we will provide this opportunity for the innovators to meet the business community, because that is exactly what the city is set out to do. And with those remarks, I say thank you very much. We look forward to getting started. Asante.
And I was waiting for a comment that we are setting up the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology at the Konza Technopolis. Groundbreaking is happening really soon. Most likely January, February, we are on ground. And if the Innovation Week can follow thereafter, I think we'll party to that. That's great. And let me invite Sheena from the UK Kenya Co-Tech. Sheena, you are so behind on that side. Kindly come in front, if you don't mind. And please give a sanitized mic.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Very, very excited. Before I start, I want to I hope you heard me, but I just wanted to say again, really, really excited to be here and excited to be one of the crazy partners that Dr. Tony is looking for. And just before me, it was Josephine from Konza Tech. And I have to say, what she said, she means. We're already working with them as part of the COVID-19 hackathon. And the combination of Konza Tech and Countrywide Association has been amazing. So when she says she's ready to get her hands dirty and work, I can attest to it. They are amazing. They're a great partner. So really, really excited to have you here, and very good to work with you, and hope to continue to do so. So I'll just now introduce myself. So my name is Sheena, and I'm the country director for the UK Kenya Tech Hub. So this is a UK government institution based here in Kenya with the British High Commission. Although we're part of a larger international network of hubs, so in Africa, there's Nigeria, South Africa. I obviously lead Kenya, and we've got India, Indonesia, Israel, Brazil. So I'm very happy to kind of share learnings across our hubs with Kenya, and also learn from the Kenya hub ourselves. So when I say tech hub director, what do I mean by tech? And everybody talks about tech and Silicon Savannah, etc. So for me, tech falls into kind of three categories. First, I'm going to say the cool tech that everybody wants to talk about: big data, blockchain, AI, IoT. And I agree, that's going to make a huge impact. Already in COVID, 3D printing, we're seeing what an impact that makes. However, for me, I think that's around 1% really of tech entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs here in Kenya. So what else is exciting? So for me, the second bucket then becomes tech as an enabler. Where can tech be used to make sure the important services, whether it's financial services, health, agriculture, energy, how do we get that to the masses? So that's technology innovation, but also business process innovation. And we're seeing that in Kenya with a lot of the examples already we were pitched to here today as well. But thirdly, and some people would say more boringly, but I would say just as important, is operational tech. How do we use technology to have our MSMEs, our SMEs grow and scale? So we run a program which was MSME digitization, where we worked with 150 MSMEs. I'm talking about your mama selling baby clothes. We got her to sell them through Facebook, Twitter, integrate with a boda driver using mobile money. That to me is tech integration. That to me is tech. So my remit is really, really broad. It's the startups, but it's also the SMEs and the MSMEs. And I think they're the both arms of the Kenyan economy, and we need to support both of them. And in order to support both of them, they need different types of support. But I think we need to be clear on that. What I'm super excited about is just what Tony mentioned earlier, which is the academia and the industry linkage. And I think in this room, we can already see this. We can see if we get the academics, really, really clever researchers together and help them commercialize their innovation, or get them partnering with somebody who does the business side, because you don't have to be an innovator and a business person. You just need the right partners. Let us help do that, get you to that business stage, and then link you with angel investors or other investors, local investors, etc. It's all part of the cycle. So really, really excited to hear the vision of KeNIA. Really, really excited to have, academic partners, industry partners, venture partners together to really achieve this mission. The last thing I would say is, I know amazing things are happening in Kenya. And I see them in my role, from whether it's donors doing things, the Kenyan government doing things, whether it's private sector, startups, angel investors, etc. Lots of things are happening. What we need to do is break the silos. What we need to do is work together with each other. I think we need to forget about thinking, I did this and I did this, but let's think about what can we do to help Kenya and the Kenyan ecosystem. And I think the way to do that is realize there's some things, and I think we have to be very honest, there's some things we might compete against, right? Because at the end of the day, everybody competes. Let's be realistic. If you're a business, if you're an investor, you're all competing to find the best deals, you're competing to find the best staff, or you're competing for attention, media attention, or whatever it is. So there are areas where different players will compete, but there are lots more where we can collaborate. So let's be clear, where are we competing? And that's fine. But where can we collaborate? And we will find there's so many places we can collaborate, and let's all get together and collaborate in these areas. So thank you so much for inviting me. And as a representative of the UK government here in Kenya, I'm very excited to be here. And this has been excellent. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sheena. Lots of crazy people in the room. And Dr. Tony is in good company, I believe. Professor Bolitia from Masai Mara University, and also a major player in the construction industry. I hope you've got some word for us on innovation in the construction industry, in the built environment. I'll give you an opportunity later as you think about it, because what innovation are we having in the construction industry? Everyone is building something. Everyone is putting up concrete and mortar. Can we innovate? Is there a chance for us? Is it an opportunity for us to link up with KeNIA and others interested parties and do something uniquely Kenyan? As Professor Bulitia thinks about that, I will invite the chairperson, Association of Startup and SMEs Enablers of Kenya, ASEC. I don't know whether Bernard Chira is in. Karibu sana, mpe mic.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tony, and all the crazy people in the room, good morning. I think I'm very excited to see Tony unveil what KeNIA will do, because I think for a long time, there's been a build-up in Kenya, a build-up of how can we do greater things? How can we do things in a better way? How can we collaborate? And how can we address the issues that are really at the heart of what ails us as a country? My name is Bernard Shira. I represent, I wear many hats, but I represent ASEC, which began very similarly to the crazy path that Tony is taking. And a couple of years ago, around 2017, I think at, again, one of Tony's initiatives, the Nairobi Innovation Week, the ecosystem, so people supporting innovation and entrepreneurship in the country started gathering. And amazing things happen when people gather. It's because you meet people you only meet on a day-to-day. And then you discover you all share same concerns and same challenges. And I think for a long time, you know, people have known innovation to be this thing where maybe it's only one hub that is famous or one university. But you realize that there is a lot happening in this country to support the very topic that we are talking about today. And what we decided to do is to come together and establish a platform that can help us talk about ecosystem, not individual challenges. Because great things can happen when you address ecosystem challenges. In this country, we've had, you know, successes of innovators and startups, but they've struggled. They struggle 10 times X than an innovator, say, in the US or in Europe. And that's because for a long time, we haven't been asking the right questions. We haven't been asking, how do you close the gap for early stage investment in a sustainable way in this country? We haven't been asking, how do you build institutions and hubs that are actually not donor driven, but have sustainable models? And I like that Tony mentioned that one of the focus areas for KeNIA is to support innovation hubs to think sustainably and to think like businesses. Because at the end of the day, we're all in business and we have to think sustainability. And that's one of the areas we are very keen on at ASEC. Now, this is a great forum because all the issues we may think of have been mentioned here. IP, commercializations, helping startups, helping SMEs, operational tech. You know, technology is not just about breakthrough technology. I want to mention two things and then I'm going to sit down. Number one, a challenge was thrown here to one of our professors to think about the construction industry and what innovation can happen there. And that triggered my mind to think about what kind of society are we building if our built environment is not conducive for everyone. Our old people, our persons with disability. This is a group that for many years has been at the back burner of development. On my day job, I run an accelerator program that is trying to help entrepreneurs that are building assistive technology. Now, in the build environment, there's something called universal design, designing something that's good for everyone. That is innovation in itself. And we need to look at our country and our society and look 100 years, not just 10 year sprints, and say, will this society be good for everyone? Will we have innovation that supports an inclusive society? And I'd like to challenge Tony to think about that as he builds his model for supporting the infrastructure for innovation in this country. How are we going to build an inclusive society where, regardless of your any challenge that you may have, whether you're old, whether you have a disability, can your potential still be realized? That's number one. Number two, we have a great opportunity as a country when it comes to innovation and technology and building startups. And I'm going to give a perspective that might paint that picture. Now, when you look at countries like Israel, the US, or any other ecosystem where resources and investments have been made to support startups, and then you look on the, and then you compare the number of jobs that have been created in those countries as a result of making that investment, it can be phenomenon, because when startups succeed, what do? They scale. That's how we measure the success of a startup. They scale and they create massive opportunities. They create jobs. They create new areas of innovation because they cannot address everything. And we have to really look at that as one of the anchor points for creating jobs in this country. And I think when government has clarity on how it can support startups, then we can have hope in this country that innovators seated in this room, building both hardware and software technology, can actually be part of the solution. I love this MSME movement, and I think it's going to be there, and we have to support it with all the operational technology that is required. But let us not miss out on the opportunity of creating, maybe in this part of the world we don't talk about unicorns, but basically these are startups that are valued more than $1 billion. These are the type of institutions that we will start seeing very soon. And it started happening in this very continent of ours. I think we've seen what happened in Nigeria and South Africa and other countries where we're having major exits happening, even in our own country happening. So let's not give up on that dream. Let's collaborate. I know Sheena talked about competition, but competition is good when it creates an environment that helps everyone to thrive. We want to compete on standards. Let's build better standards. We want to compete on creating more opportunities, more jobs for our youth. And that's why we are here. So Tony, thank you very much. ASEC is very much willing to support you. Our mandate is very much anchored around the things that you talked about. And we want to work with you to build a national infrastructure for innovation hubs. Makueni government launched an innovation hub the other day. Let's go there and figure out how do we support them, because the hub is good, it creates a space, but we need to create business models. We need to create technology that can help build more startups and help our country go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. more work for you, Professor Bulutia. But meanwhile, Professor Mary Abuksa, why are we so late in scaling up all these innovations and commercializing? And she's from the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. There's something small there, you press.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, all protocols are observed. I want to thank the organizers of this very, very important forum for inviting me as an innovator and also as one of the staff of Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology and as an academia. So as you've been told, my name is Mary Abukutsa. I'm from the Department of Horticulture and Food Security at the Jomo Kenyatta University. I also hold an office where I'm the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of Research, Production and Innovation at JKUAT. But I would like to talk first of all as an innovator before I talk about the university. I don't know how I was invited, but I'm very happy I was invited. I think I was giving Tony sleepless nights. The other day there was an acoustic conference and I heard Tony talk online. And soon after I gave him a call because I thought here is the solution of what we have been going through as academia. Abukutsa, who is myself, has contributed significantly in repositioning some very weird plants from being poor man's crop to international standards, that is African indigenous vegetables. Tony, when I said this project 20 years ago, if you were born, people thought I was crazy. People thought that, why work on this, these things, this Miranda things, what is it about? But I was so passionate about it. You have to have passion and not be crazy. So for 20 years, I worked. And that's what this is you see on the market is part of what has made the craziness of me and a few other people has made these vegetables to be on the supermarkets. Now, because of that, someone talked about appreciating, I think it was Tony who said appreciating researchers. This has made me receive several accolades, nationally, internationally, continentally. But that's what that's not what I'm looking for. I received a presidential award from Kibaki, then when he was the president, former president, African Union, and even Edinburgh Medal, because of African indigenous vegetables, because the innovations I developed as a researcher, as an academia. Now, as we speak now, Mary registered 9 varieties of nutritional indigenous vegetables with Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Services, KEFIS, in 2016. That can be considered as patents or intellectual property. Despite the investment in the development of these varieties, as Tony said, there's a lot of investment in research. These have not been fully commercialized 4 years down the line because there's a demand, there is these vegetables varieties have been identified, but why are they not on the market? Why have I not commercialized them? That's why when I saw Tony talk about things I got very excited. However, I want to say my story is not unique to me. Many of the academia in the university who are crazy, passionate about research and innovation, they're in the same boat. As of 2018, there were about 200 intellectual property assets or patents from Kenyan universities that have been developed, but they are lying on the shelves. They need to be commercialized. These innovations are better than what Abukutsa has developed on this indigenous poor man's crop, but they are high-flying innovations. But how and why? How can we move forward? And why are they lying on the shelves? I want to say that these patents or intellectual property assets come in various categories. As we speak now, in all Kenyan universities, public especially, we have innovations in all the big 4 agenda the government talks about that can solve all our problems. For example, I'll give you a simple example. In JKUAT, we have what we call a tick trap. A trap which you can just put in the field, in pastoral areas, and they attract all the ticks that disturb our animals and will be going. It has been lying there for a very long time. Why can't we make it commercial and people can move on? Many of the patented innovations at universities lie in what I call the valley of death. Now, the valley of death is that gap between patenting, doing the research, patenting, and having the intellectual property and commercialization. There is a valley of death. But I'm glad Tony said there's a bridge. So we will build that bridge. So there are so many patents. 200 in the country, most of them are from JKUAT. From the data I gathered, that we have about 50 patented innovations. Now, when I took office as a deputy vice chancellor, one of the things I told the panel, like Tony has told us, I'll make sure that at least I commercialize one innovation every year. I've done none up to now. And that's why if I can commercialize at least one or two before I leave office, I have now 2 years remaining. Tony, you are my savior, so I am crazy as you. So we must just have one. Shuja Tractor is ready to come to you today. Now, what am I saying? To cross the valley of death, KeNIA and all of you will play a pivotal role to fast track the commercialization of patented innovations, gathering dust in our great universities, academic institutions. With the launch of KeNIA, we can start with the low-hanging fruits. And I told Tony, come to JKUAT. As I speak now, when I took office, I have actually, out of the 50, I took 12 of the innovations. I've developed profiles, and 5 of them have bankable business plans, like Shuja Tractor. We were just going to organize the Investors Forum in January, March, and COVID came in. So this is the right time to pick them up. So I have 5 innovations of bankable business plans ready to go to the market. So, my concluding remark is that with the launch of KeNIA, we can start with the low-hanging fruits. We can pick them through investments in incubation. We talked about innovation hubs and capacity building, and in a coordinated way. So, researchers or professors just know how to develop up to the innovation, but then crossing the valley, we don't know. So they need to be brought in, linked with partners, so that we can meet the objectives. We need to contribute to the Big Four agenda and other development plans within KeNIA and Africa. Africa, we have Agenda 2063. Why can't KeNIA play a pivotal role within Kenya and outside? I'm very happy to be part of this launch, and I believe if well supported, it will be a game changer, not only in academic institutions, but in the world. Thank you, and God bless you.
Even though I walk through the valley of death, I shall not. KeNIA, mko na kazi hapa, mko na kibarua. From the private sector, is Cherotich Ruto in? Kindly, 1-2 minutes here. Let's hear what the private sector has to say. A mic, please, sanitize. For Cherotich. And Professor Bulitia, 2 minutes for you after.
Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gents. Thank you, Doctor, for inviting me. And on behalf of SE Ventures by Standard Chartered, we are happy to be here on behalf of, I'm here on behalf of my, my boss, who represents Africa and Middle East. So I'm Cherotich, and a doctor visited our lab, was it last week or just the other day? And we're very excited to get his call. And for him, we rarely get visitors in this time of COVID. And for him, when he called and he said, can I want to meet you, so can I come to the lab? We're very excited, so thank you very much. for visiting us. So at SE Ventures, what we are focused on is applying technology innovatively in the financial sector. And of course, our mission is to promote innovation and culture within the bank first, and then invest in other disruptive financial technology and explore alternative business model. As an agripreneur myself, utilizing technology, I've had the opportunity to work with other entrepreneurs and in ventures where we do incubation of ideas, prototyping, minimum viable product, business modeling. And so when Dr. Tony was talking about those are some of the things that he wants to do, and that's the mission for KeNIA, then it became really exciting for us to say, how then can we partner to ensure that we're helping startups through that incubation process and making them investment ready. Currently, what we're building is various platforms to support e-commerce, agriculture, ecosystems, and other value chains, which I'm sure our communities can benefit from, and by having access to solutions which, of course, turn into economic value. And therefore, with this, we're looking forward to partnering with the agency and inviting the rest of the members to visit our innovation lab, and we curate together. So with those few remarks, thank you very much, and have a good day.
Thank you very much, Madam Chiroti Chiroto. Hopefully we can co-create and curate together, as you put it. Professor Bulitia, 2 minutes. You are both an academia, researcher, and a practitioner. Now, are we still in the valley of death? And while Professor Bulitia gives us a 2-minute remark, Bwana David Njoroge, kindly get ready.
Bwana CS, my alumni member from University of Nairobi, board member, my mentor here, my boss, immediate boss, director, University Education, the CEO, Daktari, all protocol observed, my senior in the field, good morning. Yes, Professor Bulitia Godric Matthews. I represent so many entities. Here, I just want to convey our congratulatory message to Daktari from 3 entities which I represent. One is National Construction Authority, where I am a board of director. I've been a chair for about 1.5 years before I was renewed again to be a director for a further period of 3 years, now to make 6. Another entity is Accreditation Appeals Tribunal Board, where I am a member from June this year. That is under KENAS, not KeNIA. And now Masai Mara University, where I serve as the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of Academic and Student Affairs. I went there last year from Murang'a University of Technology. Therefore, we want to congratulate you, Tony, and I want to tell you, you have what it takes. It was long overdue for you to be in that position. I can assure you, I will pray, I will fast, I will pray for you, and I will support you. You have the right people. Whenever I have a problem, I always call him. He is my grandchild, though he's my senior. He knows why I'm saying that. I'm a Sabaot, the only Sabaot who has made this far from Mount Elgon. So the first thing I was asked, maybe I start with the National Construction Authority. We want to assure Daktari that you have what it takes, and from Consa Technopolis, we have worked with them. I remember, you remember this face, we were in South Korea. We have worked there, we have seen everything that is being done there. We have gone to China, we have gone to all those big cities. We have gone to UK, you have gone to US, you have gone to Malaysia, we have gone to Singapore, we have seen all that is being done there. And therefore, I just want to tell you that the construction sector or the construction space in Kenya is regulated by National Construction Authority. It's not about only buildings. We regulate everything, name it. And therefore, we have a space. We normally organize annual events, and this is called ICOS. The ICOS is International Construction Research Conference and Exhibition. Most of our times, we are always holding these ones in KICC, and I remember I can see some faces who have participated there. Here we showcase. We allow all the entities to come and showcase all whatever that they have that can support the construction sector in Kenya. We also have a model that's affordable housing models at Jamhuri ground. That is where the showground is. You will go there and see those different house units, and you will cost it. It has already been costed, and you will say which one you want to start. And therefore, with members who are here, you will realize that you learn a lot from us. Now, when I took over as chair of National Construction Authority for the 1.5 years, I can tell you I did wonders. And that's why the Concert Technopolis, they will never forget me throughout their lives. Because one, I became the chair and the founder of National Construction Institute, which now has 3 parcels at Concert. And we are coming up with an institute to build capacity. All of you who have mentioned something here, we have a space for you. We are pumping in money. We are going to have our groundbreaking, Madam, you can attest that, next year. And we are already, funding has already been given to us. We are going to do a lot there. This is going to build capacity to the young ones. Because I look at where I come from, I see how we suffer, and I said, can I use that as a model and have the paraffin effect in the whole economy, that we can impact the lives of almost everybody in a positive way. And when I see these brothers and sisters of mine, they have what it takes, we have a space for you. And National Construction Authority has a solution for almost all of you who are doing 1 or 2 things. The second thing that I want to talk about is that National Construction Authority, of course, is doing a lot. And let me just leave that so that I come to another thing. When I stepped at Masai Mara University, when I talk about Masai Mara University, all of you are looking at me, oh, I'm a straightforward person. So I told Tony, and Tony, I just want to invite you, Dr. I want to invite you at Masai Mara. When I stepped there, the first thing I did is, how do I impact the academia? Actually, my sister Mary, you know that I am the youngest deputy vice chancellor the country has employed. So I just wanted to use the age as something that when they are choosing in the future, young people, they will actually refer to me as, what have I done when I was given that position? And I just want to say that when I came there, one thing that we did, we came up with innovations and already were patented. And I've already shared this with the Daktari and my brother here. I don't want to take a lot of time, but I just want to motivate you and appetize you on something that we did. I took the lead. The first thing that I looked at the environment where we are operating in, we came up with what is called renewable energy cooperatives in rural Kenya, a recipe for natural vegetation cover, restoration, conservation, and poverty eradication. Tony, this is something that is already patented, and this is a solution to almost all the rural areas. We have come up with another one, which is so key, smoke solution as a component in detergent preparations. So many wonderful ones. All of them are patented. So even if I mention the names, I know you cannot do anything with it because already it is protected. So we are looking for the Tony, when you come, you will see what Masai Mara is doing in terms of innovation, and you will see that we are becoming, and I don't think if there is any university here which will pick what I'm going to say and say we want to implement that, because that one will be plagiarism. We are going to become the first university in Kenya that's going to come up with something called the future space. And that's where Tony will look for me. The future space is whereby we are going to link ourselves as an academic institution and the industry and have the impact. The future space model is so simple. When these innovators, they do the innovation, they come up with the very good ideas, we give them the malls, and we are going to have a wonderful building like this, but with malls like a supermarket, where the industries will come, we commercialize, with Tony's here, and any other entities, we are going to have a greater impact in our society and in the region and globally. So I don't want to mention that in detail because Tony is going to look for me, and I will sell that idea to him, that when you have the edge on your side, kindly make this country proud. My brother here, from where he's coming from, let him go back there with a message that as I look at this skin can also do something. I pride on that. I pride on independence of mind. And I want to tell you that as you do this, remember one thing, the highest level of integrity. When you do your work, remember one thing, the legacy you are leaving behind, the generation that you are going to impact. Make it as positive as possible so that everybody, the country can look at this young person and say, indeed, we have what it takes for us to do something. Look at what, if CS can remember, and my brother here, look at what the president unveiled towards Mombasa. You remember that? Those innovations, the robots and whatever. Can you imagine those things done in Kenya? We have what it takes. Today, I want to congratulate you, Tony. Thank you for inviting me. I am going to share with you a lot. I have a lot that will break my brain. And if
a round of applause for Professor here. And that's why I fear inviting professors, because you may not be able to stop them. And still, he has not answered Bernard Chira's question. Kindly, you get in touch with Bernard Chira and respond to him on the built-up area. Bwana Njoroge uko wapi? Tafadhali.
Good morning, everyone. I'm not the senator. I'm just here on behalf of him. Don't confuse. Bwana CS, Mr. Zachary Kinuthia, our new CEO, Tony Omwansa, I'm very proud of you. And we are very happy about the work you're doing. I was just listening and I was very excited because it confirmed that we are actually on the right track on what we are actually doing currently on the startup bill. The senator would have wanted to be here, but he's engaged somewhere, but he told me just to give his few remarks, and I'm going to do exactly that. The senator has been on the forefront in terms of ensuring that youth get jobs and they get empowered. If I can take you back, he was at the forefront when he sponsored an amendment bill on the procurement and public procurement and disposal bill to give women, youth, and persons with disability at least 30% of all the tenders that are given in government. He went ahead and also came up with another bill called the National Employment Authority that is supposed to do, one of its key objectives is to carry out surveys in the labor market, to understand the market, to connect, to advise academic institutions on what the market needs, and even to also advise the job seekers. Now, after doing all that, he realized there's still a gap. The situation in Kenya in terms of unemployment is still very high. And we asked ourselves in the office, what do we need to create high quality jobs in a short time? And one of the key things that came up was, how do we support startups? And when we looked at our legislative procedures and laws, we realized there's a gap. And we looked at other countries that have been able to do this correctly, countries like India, Tunisia, Senegal, Italy, the United States. And we discovered that there's a legislative gap in Kenya, and if you're able to fill that gap and support this ecosystem, the startup ecosystem, then we can be able to create high quality jobs with high economic returns in a very short period of time. Because as you all know, every year there are 1 million young people coming into labor market and there are no jobs for them. And we do want to go to the route of doing the usual, give them car wash. These are things that people are given when there are no jobs. We wanted, because we believe in our young people, they are learned, they have the skill, all they need is the support from government. And we came up, we sat down with Isaac, Akina Bernard, the startup community, and we came up with a startup bill draft, which has already gone through the first reading. The startup bill has a cocktail of incentives that are gonna change this ecosystem and be able to catapult and make sure that these startups actually thrive and excel. Just 1 week ago, we had a meeting with 4 startups that have already scaled up: Twiga Foods, Sandy, Africa is Talking, Wapipe. And when we were sitting in that table, it struck me that actually in that table as we were sitting, the combined value of those 4 startups was an upwards of $200 million US, without any government support, without any government help. Twiga Foods and Sandy alone have employed over 50,000 people directly. So we can see the impact that we can have if we are just able to put together an ecosystem for the startups to thrive. And that's why we are here. So I want to tell Tony, we are on the right path. We're going to change this thing, we're going to do it right, and we're going to change, we're going to create jobs for our young people, conquer Kenya, conquer Africa, and conquer the world. What we are looking at is, once we pass this bill and we bring all these government agencies and players of this ecosystem together, that in the next 5 years, we're able to attract on upwards of $5 billion US in terms of capital investment to this country. And I believe it is possible. If four startups seated on a table have been able to attract on an upwards of 200 million, then if we do the right things, put the right things that needs to be done, then I believe we can attract 5 billion. And Tony, you'll be on that steering wheel. So kazi kwako. Asanteni sana, and all the best.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate the contribution of our Senator, Honorable Johnson Sakaja. Send our regards to him. And there are so many crazy people doing beautiful stuff, and I'm happy for this. But having come this far, we've had remarks from the floor, and it's now my duty to let the chief guest be able to make remarks. But I will invite the rep of the PS, Dr. Eric Mwangi, who is the Director, Research, Science and Technology, to usher in our chief guest. And I hope no one is walking away. I'm going to go back and stand at the door to make sure all people are contained here for the chief guest's remark. But it's been a pleasure. My name is Mogaka Ogutu, Director, University Education. Over to you, Dr. Mwangi. You can clap for me. Esh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mogaka, Director DOE. Now, I would like first of all to start with acknowledgements. So let me acknowledge the presence of the Cabinet Secretary Representative and the Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Mr. Zach KeNIA. Perhaps you could stand up, your CS, so that they see you. Thank you. Then of course the CEO, KeNIA, Tom, the board members present here, from KeNIA, NACOSTI, NRF, then the director DOE, the private sector participants who are in this meeting, academicians, on all participants, as well as the senator rep. I'm here to do 2 things. First of all, make remarks on behalf of the PS, Ambassador Mukwesi, and thereafter, which will take me about 5 minutes, and thereafter to invite the Cabinet Secretary Representative. So I start with my remarks. Now, I would like to mention that when I was sitting there, I had to change my presentation, which I had done this morning, because most things were discussed by people. So I will leave these slides for record of the proceedings, But I have added a few more things to discuss. So I will not discuss about the mandate which is being discussed next. Move the next slide. Now I want to talk about this slide. So I want to talk about innovation agencies and examples. Why do you need innovation agencies? Now, the most developed countries have innovation agencies, and examples are the UK Department of Innovation and Skills. That's a whole state department with a huge budget. Sweden, Vinnova, I've been running some programs with Swedish Vinnova for the last 10 years. We've been running some research innovation partnerships with them for 10 years. And there's a whole institution, bigger than a university, a whole campus. Egypt, North African countries, Morocco, Tunisia, I've been there. They've got innovation agencies. These are magnificent bodies, big bodies with huge investment from the government. South Africa. So, in Africa, Kenya is ranked 4th or 5th in research, science, technology, innovation. And we are the only sub-Saharan country outside South Africa who are leading. So if you look at the map of Africa, cut off Tunisia and Morocco, get out of Egypt, you come all the way up to Zimbabwe, of course, when things went bad. South Africa, we are the 4th in research innovation. And these are the records based on the European Union Commission. When there was a grant for calls on the research innovation calls on health, environment, and food security, the Kenyans had the highest number of applications in Africa to the European Commission. So in terms of research innovation, we are highly ranked. Now, on this basis then, the Ministry of Science and Technology decided to create and establish KeNIA. And I'm very happy today now, and I want to tell you that I was in the 5-member committee of people who sat down 6 years ago, and we came up with the concept of establishing KeNIA. And with that time, we looked at the innovation models in the Philippines, Singapore, Korea, Finland, UK, and South Africa. And therefore, we came with this concept of that recommending that the KeNIA should be established as well as the NRF. We had another body we had proposed, but that one was not necessary at this time. So, and then we went to the parliament, everything, until now they became established. So we have been in the right direction, and that's why you see now KeNIA is here. And we did this because we wanted to take the lead in the East African region. So you can see where we are, and I think I'm very happy about that. Now, go to the next slide, please. Now, I want to talk about innovation indicators as a measure of national development. Because why should you have KeNIA? If I ask people here, why do you have KeNIA? I don't want to ask. But I think most people would say because we want a grant, I want to get grant from there. No, the purpose of KeNIA is that innovation is a measure of development in the country. Be it in Europe, America, and check data. The most developed countries have the highest innovation index. You check, I'll give you books. If you want to rank innovation in a country, you look at the innovation index. And that's why we've established many universities and everything, because if you have a high number of learned people, innovation comes in automatically. You don't have to look for them for jobs. I went to a meeting where they said there's an engineer who is driving a taxi. I said, that guy is bananas, because he's an engineer and he's not innovative. So he was, you see what I mean? So now, there are several initiatives which are funding, looking at indicators. The African Observatory for Science, Technology, Innovation is African Union funded, is based in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea. I've been there. And I only had the professor mentioning African Union. Now, if you didn't know, African Union funds innovations. And you don't have to be in a university. So I'm opening you up. So stop looking at KeNIA only, get outside. The World Bank has initiatives looking at innovation indicators. The UNESCO has a big program looking at indicators. So you need to get into those spheres. Now, move to the next slide, please. Now, this was discussed, so I leave it there just for records. Move the next slide. The only thing I wanted to stress on that slide, which never came up in the presentations, was actually the amount of funding the government has sent. I wanted the participants to note that actually the various categories, and that the government have actually put in funds into some program. I wanted those details to come out, because they were being mentioned, we have done this, we've done this, but I wanted to provide some concrete figures, and I've got more concrete figures which have gone into KeNIA. The next slide, please. Now, finally, some thinking points before I go to thank you is I have 4 questions for you here. Number 1, and for CEO KeNIA, which are the key areas of innovation pillars to fund? Because what I've been hearing is many ideas. But can you sit down and see which are the key pillars to fund for you to get an impact? And that's a starting point. And that's what the Germans and the French do. They are pragmatic. They look at a concrete action. So of the many things floated here, look at which concrete pillar you are going to approach and then ask the CS for money. That's the way to go. Be pragmatic. Don't be general. The other thing is, what would you do with non-academic innovations? There are people who are not in universities but they've innovated. This is called living labs. I don't know whether you know the concept of living labs. A living lab is an innovation developed to solve a problem in the society. Perhaps maji iko chafu. Wenyeji tu anakuja na mti inatoa hiyo uchafu. What do you do with those living labs? And I give an example. There was a man who tried to develop a plane from Nyeri Karatina with metals, and he tried to fly. And when this helicopter flew into the air, when it crashed, the man was arrested by police. The man was arrested by police instead of them trying to help them develop that innovation. So those are the kind of things I'm talking about. Finally, I want to talk about, I did not hear anything here strong about international partnerships. You are all talking in-house. There are a lot of partnership initiatives in the UK, France, Germany, South Africa, Egypt, India, China. There are people looking for partnerships, innovation with Africans. So think outside, and Google, and you're going to get. And finally, before I invite the CS, there are external funding agencies which fund, and philanthropic bodies which fund innovation. I want to give you an example. The European Commission has a grant for funding startups. So and they give you good money, but you must partner with the European country. So go to the European Commission website, look Horizon 2020, look at the program, and look for the program for the startups. The program is revised every 6 months, and they give you a lot of money. So I hope that you should be more active than that. Obviously, with those few remarks, now I take this chance to invite the Cabinet Secretary Representative and Chief Administrative Secretary, Mr. Zach KeNIA, to make the remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity. Good morning to all of us. Let's rise up and do some stretching. It's been an hour of sitting down, and I think sometimes it's good to refresh our bones. Just stretch and then assume your seat. Thank you very much. For the record, so that government is funny, there are several words that are taken seriously, like sabotage. I'm not the cabinet secretary. I'm his assistant, called Chief Administrative Secretary or Assistant Minister in the Ministry of Education, but regards from the CS and the other high-level cadre in the ministry. I want to confirm that I would want to be crazy CEO, if you can allow me, because crazy is a way for innovators. The late founder of Apple, Steve Jobs, was a crazy man, very crazy. Actually, in his final days of life, he was walking on barefoot in the streets of California, and he stopped wearing pants. He would simply tie a towel around his waist, because he said in the autobiography written by University of, I'm not sure, but I think a university professor from Washington, that it was at his heydays of death that he got more innovations for information and technology. yet cancer could not let him be and took away his life. So he was a crazy man. I don't know whether that is the kind of crazy you want us. You can start by removing our shoes and tying towels around us if you must do, and walk down from Westlands to the city on foot, because then you attract your fellow crazy men. Have you realized if you are crazy enough, you have partners amongst the masses? Yes, masses are crazy, but they want a leader who is crazy as them. So I think it is time that all of us become crazy, especially around this idea. I am here to speak. I am the least of all, because I'm not an engineer, shall never be. I'm not an innovator, could ever be. And therefore my language is not going to be technical jargon. I'm going to speak as simple as a layman. Very simply, because those who have come before me, CEO, I cannot match their shoes. So allow me to simply speak as government would. And government is never committal. You know that, isn't it? Yeah. So I just speak and sometimes use some threatening words in the law so that you know I am government, isn't it? But I appreciate a lot being invited here, CEO, upon your full installation as a substantive chief executive officer. You have the blessings of the president. As you have seen mentioned, the president flew all the way to Voi to come up with a revolutionary idea in the minds of the youth that what can be done in Kenya has been done. Our young people were enclosed, fed, supported, and in 6 months came up with mind-blowing innovations. And you saw them. People could not believe it. People were actually saying, oh, these are Germans, politicians. These are Germans, so, these are Britons. These are Polish. I hope people from Poland are called Polish. Yes, these are Polish. People said many things. But these were our Kenyan youth from our own soil here, doing mind-blowing innovations, which nobody would ever have thought it was done. Because sometimes in the desert of poverty, a small oasis of food becomes a great revolution. So if people are doing small things, they gain international repute. But many people should do more things so that we localize fame, as my director has said here. Allow me to read what I had marked here, and then I speak in 2 minutes, and then we'll go home. Or rather, is it home? Or we go back to our work? The Kenya National Innovation Agency, as have been mentioned here, is a state corporation which is just 7 years old, under the Ministry of Education, whose core mandate is to develop and manage the national innovation system. The agency is therefore responsible for coordination and promotion of the national innovation ecosystem. Among the key functions we have seen and heard from CEO and the other speakers is institutionalizing linkages between universities, research institutes, private industry, government, and other actors in the national innovation system. Developing, second one, and continuously tracking. This is very important because I think Professor Tony, you will have to a little bit be more crazy and reach out under the auspices of the second point and the third one. And this is developing and continuously tracking and benchmark the national innovation metrics based on international best practice. The third one is also important because you have to scout for and nurture innovative ideas from individuals, from training institutions, from private sector and other ST&I institutions, that is science, technology, and innovation or innovative institutions. You mentioned something here while you were speaking about TVET. I want to invite you and the people in this room to step out of your office or where you work from and visit just one technical training institute around your place. I want to send you as far back as fringes of this country, near the border of Kenya and Uganda, in a county called Busia, and a place called Matayos, where there is a technical and training institute called Daniel Wako. Entering that institute, you will not believe it, because the government has put 268 million worth equipment
to train young people on food technology. Converting milk into, food, what do we call it? Additional value addition in food, food technology. Actually, it's called value addition in food technology. Then take you back again down to an institute in Voi, Kenya, called Coast Voi Technology. It's on your way to Voi town, and you will see that the government has installed machines across the country, could be about 62 billion in total, that are so up to date, so revolutionary. You will not believe that in the universities you are sitting, some of these equipments are not found. Some of you are working in some universities with obsolete machines delivered by World Bank and the European Union in 1980s. There are these institutions, and I wanted Dr. Tony to do a visit sometime, just go around. You see the kind of machines we are talking about. The numeric, I see CNC, because somebody talked about a machine here. They are there. The newest, the best that the technology has been able to find as of today. If you can work with these institutions, I am telling you, you are going to make innovations in the heart of Africa as has never been thought before. This Silicon Valley idea can be a shadow. If we are, this American Silicon Valley can be overshadowed if we are intentional and purposeful and aggressive. This is what I wish you, my senior brother. The fourth thing that this institution is mandated is creating synergies among different technological innovations, incubations, and divisions initiatives in Kenya, establishing, regularly updating the database of innovations, and I hope that one is taken seriously because we are now in the information age. Even any person can just log in. Is it www? What is your website? Is it here? Put it here. I think it's important. Oh, it's here. www.innovationagency.government Kenya / that one should be aggressively be sold out there through social media. Let young people log in here and know what the animal this is. Let them see what they can do with you and make it an interactive website. Create Facebook pages. Let them be interactive. Employ in your agency a young person who can handle all this for you. Let them talk to you. Answer them. Create hotlines for them to get to you. Otherwise, people living in very desperate situation with ideas, crazy young people living in bedsitters in Ruaka, will be able to interact with you and get the help they need. All young people do not just need to be employed, at least in our age, just left university in less than 10 years time. And most of us are not looking forward for employment. We look for employment because we are desperate. But if we can be enabled, majority of young people have something they would want to do. They're just looking for a way out. So we should promote increased awareness and knowledge of information. I've already said that. And that is your mandate actually, and point number 6. Then the last one is advocacy. So that the voice of the country's science, technology and innovation community will be represented in the country's programs and policies at all levels. Lastly is implementing the research and commercialization. This is what I want to talk off this curve, and then I will be through with my speech. So for the last 3 years or so, Kenya National Innovation Agency has been informative stages. I see it is just 7 years when we formed this bill in Act of Parliament, and the agency has a full board now with a substantive CEO. Congratulations, Dr. Tony. I have had Professor saying you are long overdue, and I agree because I listened to you, and in 2 minutes you are able to tell what kind of a man through their talk. I congratulate you upon assuming this office. Kenya National Agency sits in the intersection between government, academic institutions, the research community, the private sector, innovative businesses, and other innovation support intermediaries, and is responsible for making connections between them. It is my confidence and desire that we link and support this agency to serve its purpose in the country. Such a huge mandate of coordination and promoting the national innovation can be overwhelming for a young agency. This is why the board and the CEO have articulated some priority areas and demonstrated the ability to adapt and respond to new needs and opportunities. We would want to move forward with both ambitious and realistic targets for the Innovation Agency to achieve. In support of the National Innovation System, the government's key interests are focused on the three things, which I want all of us in the room to take advantage, because when you hear the government is focused, that is where the money is. I had somebody mention Big Four. Big Four is cumulatively been allocated 268 billion shillings. So that is where money is. So now these three things, as far as this is concerned, is what the government is focusing on. And now this is where you get the dollar. Number one, ensure that Kenya has institutions, organizations, and policies with legal basis that give effect to the various functions of the national system of innovation. I heard you mention that. You're moving to communities, universities, you'll be moving to schools. I heard you say, very ambitious. So move fast. Write us that budget and we'll give you that money once you get the prototype of what you want done. Mankind is funny. When you mention money, everybody is very happy. I don't know why. When you mention pesa ni maua tena ya ua, sio? Number two, fostering interactions among and within all sectors and actors in the economy. That is also within you. Move fast, your board. The final thing that the government will be putting money into and monitoring closely is ensuring that there is an agreed set of goals and objectives which are in harmony with Vision 2030. The three pillars must be in harmony with what you are doing. If you are able to do that, Professor Tony, you can rest assured that you will move and keep moving as John Walker, keep walking. We also expect you to work closely with the National Research Fund. I know we are about to install the chairman. His process is ongoing. And the National Commission for NACOSTI. I think you are in the same building. We work closely with these people. There is a tremendous amount of research that has been funded in universities that we would want to see move forwards, or rather towards commercialization. We also want KeNIA to support the dissemination of research findings to the community beneficiaries. I think you put it here also, eh? Something very important I heard you mention together with Professor from JKUAT, and I'm very happy. We also want you to strengthen the institutional instruments that incentivize researchers to work towards commercialization. We would like also to encourage engagement and collaboration with private sector and development agencies to move forward the national innovation agenda. Private sector has resources and links to consumers that need to be connected to the research that we aspire to commercialize. Ladies and gentlemen, at these initial stages, KeNIA has a small budget and a very lean staff. We are going to support KeNIA to ensure that it has the financial and human resources necessary to execute her mandate. We also are going to encourage our institutions and our members of parliament to hold consultative forums on a regular basis to deepen understanding on ST&I and relevant policies. I think we have a representative of MP for Nairobi County, Johnson Sakaja, who sits at the upper house of our parliament, bicameral parliament, and we are very happy. I am through with what I had prepared to speak. Number final one, which is what I want to finish and resume my seat, is the following. Everybody sitting in this room, let me tell you, if you can fold our hands and get them dirty, we will be amazed at the level of uncoordinated, what Professor JKUAT called poor man's, and I'll not say vegetables, so I'll say poor man's organization that is in the villages there. Young people are doing amazing things. If you have moved into the communities, you see that people are doing things. You mentioned the helicopter, the innovation. That was not the first person. President Moi also arrested a person from Muranga who had not even got into the idea of flying. He just thought he can make a helicopter. And the thought alone landed him in prison. So I think if we can move in down there, you find that people are doing things from Lake Turkana to Indian Ocean to Mountain Kenya, Mount Elgon. I had, I think you must be the only professor from Sabaot people, isn't it? And that is congratulations. I think if we can move and get innovation where they are, that's what I called and told Professor Tony to scout for. Because if you wait for people to come to where you are to seek partnership to develop innovations, the only people you'll find are university researchers and perhaps elitist young students. Those people who are down there, who did not get a chance to come to the university and therefore develop the confidence to look for knowledge on how they can build up, they will never come to you. I am asking you to develop a committee, perhaps within you, that can do for you the scouting, and we will fund it. Go for the innovations where they are. The ideas are out there. Get them and then grow them, incubate them. We know currently we have a national agenda going on that was launched yesterday, which we seek to amend the Constitution, the first amendment, after 10 years of promulgation of the Constitution. Of course, people have many, including this House, I know we have divided opinion, saying, oh, is that to amend the Constitution? But it's because you have measure of lapses of mind about historical events. American Constitution was put in place in 1789. In 2 years, it had been amended 10 times. 1791. So if you're asking to amend our 2010 Constitution for the first time, you're not asking for too much. Part of what the Constitution wants amended, and this will be included in the law, is establishment of innovation hubs across the country. And they will be put in the words. I want you to get it. The innovation hubs he's talking about will be put in the hubs. When President Kenyatta was campaigning for the second time, he promised putting innovation hubs with fully fledged Wi-Fi in 290 constituencies. So don't ask me how far you have gone. Even DVZ has not been able to showcase even one innovation. I'm not going to answer that. But I'm going to say the Constitution is being sought to be amended to put them now under not just constituencies, but now under every ward. And in Kenya, we have how many wards? I know academia, people don't care about this. And that sometimes you also like challenging academia. Professor Tony, some of these things are important. You should not stay off from national discourses and the political situations in the country. We have 1450 wards in Kenya, 1,450. These are the places where innovation hubs will be put. You know what, Tony? And this is where now you need to be ambitious. The moment we set that budget, after we pass this constitutional amendment, the tasked agency to do this will be you. I don't know whether you're going to be able to make it because you have a lean staff, you have a lean budget, but be prepared, be ambitious, as I've heard you say, and make a prototype of a big institution or akin to a state department. Money will follow you to go and establish those things, because when politics is right, then money follows politics. And many times we know it is possible to incubate innovations when there is money and, most importantly, political goodwill. Political goodwill is key in these things we are saying. I want to ask you to move aggressively and commercialize ideas. We have very vibrant law on protection of IP rights, intellectual property rights. That one is okay. Now we are among the best in the global south, not just in sub-Saharan, in the global south. If we can commercialize ideas and make them reach the market, as Murenda did, we are going to grow communities. I went to Nakuru, my Mahio, Professor Tony, to find a guy who is doing agricultural mechanization, making ideas, these hydroponic things, building, growing a fish in a small thing, 2,000 species, using technologies that clean water, put air, feed them, many things that are happening. The guy told me, Zach, yes, my name is Zach. I was trained as a medic, and mine is procedural and incisive. I don't know how to look for money. I just know how to repair hearts and woods and put them back again. I don't know how to look for money. These innovations I have done, I went through, and if it is possible, I can also take you there. I don't know how to make money, but I have innovated this. I am innovating that, and come. So I followed him. Then he took me inside where he was working with his small daughters and his sons to take the idea after him. For him, he is no longer interested in money because he doesn't know how. So I went to with the Minister of Trade and the Minister of Industrialization and Trade to find a way of making those things reach the market. They haven't told me to date what they have done. So being now in my line ministry, I would ask you, possibly we will get in contact together to go and see how we can make that innovation, because it is an innovation that the Kenyan market is enough only to revolutionize the kind of fish farming we do, the kind of innovation to power and water agricultural farms. It is enough. Kenyan market is going to be sufficient. Let's see how we can commercialize these ideas. So if you can scout for, vouch for, aggressively reach out to innovators, you'll get it. The old story in our universities, I'm not a scholar, the old stories in our universities has been that the governments across Africa underfund research. And then I have had research should be allocated 3 or 4% of the national budget. I hear these stories. But let me tell you, the innovators in the universities who are doing research, innovations based on research that are ground shaking, they get money. They get money. The others will get the stories of how money is not got. But many of them will get this money, either from us, from international agencies, from donors, even individuals. I was reading the paper the other day. That New York University has been sustained by a single family. Our African billionaires have never understood the concept of academic philanthropy. Very few of them, maybe one, like somebody mentioned in KU. We have Chadaria doing kind of innovation. I don't know any other Kenyan billionaire except giving money to build construction, mortar and brick. I'm speaking about maintaining a university in these lean times when Mogaka did not say, when we are now underfunding universities so that they can find alternative means of income to sustain themselves. We have not seen billionaires moving and saying, my children have got all money they wanted. My wife has gone to all the shops she wanted to go in the world. Or my husband, because billionaires could be women, isn't it? But there's a man who told me, fear women, Zach. I said, what do you mean? But women can be billionaires as much. He said, fear women. I said, why? He said, because they can make you a millionaire. I said, oh, well, so should I fear people who make me a millionaire? He said, yes, because from a billionaire, a woman can make you a millionaire. So I thought that was perhaps a joke, and I took it as a joke. I do not want to speak more, Tony, but I want to encourage you, as I said, to move into it, and also for us here, to keep listening to the people, especially for us in the university, JKUAT, to keep listening, offer solutions around yourself. When Jomo Kenyatta University was established by the first president, that land was basically supposed to serve that dry part of Kiambu called Deia. Those people who know Kiambu, Deia is a potentially agricultural area which is dry. So the university being established just downstream was supposed to offer solutions in Kiambu and central Kenya has good weather, so it's good soil, to offer agriculture solutions around it. Same with Egerton, Lord Egerton University. Same with universities like Pwani. Each university has its core excellence, which it should utilize to solve solutions. If you want to go international, you lose it. First of all, offer solutions to the problems bedeviling your community. That is how you change situations. That's how you impact communities. Are we together? If you can find answers to solution, money will follow. But if you want money, solutions will never come. Let's solve solutions, give solutions to bedeviling problems in our community. The problems in Eldoret are not the problems in Muranga, where I come from. Garissa is not experiencing the same problem with Masai Mara. Masai Mara is not the same with Pwani. So if our academicians and scholars can look around what bedevils their community and then innovate around it, we change the country for the better. Sindio? Mimi nataka kuwashukuru sana for your very good morning, and thank you very much Mogaka for a sumptuous breakfast. It doesn't mean I don't get it in my house, but thank you very much, because it is good to eat together. Chinua Achebe would say people come together to eat, not because their houses have no food. People meet in the evening, not because they could not access moonlight in their compound, but it is good when people come together to share and speak. Thank you very much.
Amen to that. Another round of applause for our chief guest. Thank you. Very powerful words. 3 final things. I will ask the chair of the KeNIA board to give a vote of thanks. Then we'll have 2-3 photo opportunities with the chief guest, after which I will ask our pastor for the day to close with a word of prayer. Chair, please.
Our chief guest, Honorable Zach KeNIA, we really appreciate you for the kind and insightful political words and maneuvers that my new CEO is beginning to pick. Thank you very much. Our development partners who have spoken and the people that KeNIA has been funding have come up here today to show you the impact they have in Kenya. Indeed, as the CEO said, out of the many hundreds, we could only pick about 3 groups. The universities that have represented here, Chekewat, Masai Mara. I also represent a university, although I sit in the board here at Moi. We took a strategic risk to buy a textile mill because Kenyans used to wear mitumba, and we said we can also wear new clothes. So Rivertex is wholly owned by Moi University, and I think, chief guest, you are welcome. The many youth we have seen here and the energetic volunteers that actually Tony came with. You talked about human resource capacity at KeNIA. It's been difficult for him, and we appreciate the inroads that we are making. Our MC, Dr. Ugutu, who has ably been able to be part of us at KeNIA, so that this function could also take its semblance today. And my board members who are here, I have Dr. Steve Karimi, who represents Nakosti, Dr. Kibengea, who sits for the PS in the board. My other board members could not make it, but we are streaming it live for them. We really want to thank everybody who has been here. The Dr. Mwangi, my old friend, who gave us the remarks of the PS. Indeed, tell the PS that as our accounting officer, KeNIA wants to run. And for us to run, we need quite a number of facilitations. One of them, critically, is the human resource. And I think everybody who was able to turn up today, we really say a big thank you, because for KeNIA to import even a toothpick, matchbox, in this day and age, yet we're also famous for M-Pesa. So I think there are many ideas that are with us, and the new CEO and the board has already opened inroads to say private sector, other persons are welcome to KeNIA on an advisory capacity, volunteer. Also, when you attach philanthropy. So as we wind up this session, we really want to say big thank you, and may God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Now may I request the chief guests and the CEO to just pose in front. The representative of Senator Sakaja, please join them. Chair. Yeah, you are only three. Rep with let the chief guest be in the middle. Yes. Okay, now you can remove the mask and space out a bit. Space out. Oh, yeah, social distance.